Perhaps let's do this. Let's take it one step at a time and go through the key differences between your version and that of Sergeant Sukudu. So the first significant difference is that Sergeant Sukudu says you are the one that raised the issue related to the Vereniging murder investigation. Can you see that?
Yes, Advocate.
Right? And that you deny that you were the first one.
I deny.
All right. He then says that the case is, you said to him that the case was in their unit, i.e., provincial organized crime.
Correct, Advocate.
And do you deny this as well?
That the case is in
That
there?
you said that?
No, I didn't say that.
But at this time, you did know that the case is indeed there, in
Yes.
their unit.
I knew.
And you knew this because?
I knew this because when the scene was finalized, they requested, his office, which is Organized Crime Holding, requested the docket. And I remember I said, Advocate, that I authorized the transfer of the docket to the same unit.
Mm. So on the day of the murder and the arrests, you knew that it was in his unit?
Correct, Advocate.
Now he says that he then says to you in response, he knows about this case because it was reported in one of the SAP's WhatsApp groups. Do you recall him saying this to you?
No, I don't recall him saying that.
Do you deny that he said this to you?
Yeah, I deny it flatly.
Brigadier, I would expect that if Sergeant Sukudu was involved in escorting suspects to your jurisdiction, in the statement he would say so. In this statement, he doesn't say anything about knowing about this case because he had escorted people to your jurisdiction, or in fact, in addition to seeing it in a WhatsApp group that he has escorted the suspects to the jurisdiction. He doesn't say anything like that. And I would expect him in his statement to mention that. Because it is an important fact and that connects him to this case, that tells us how he knows, or that he knows something about this case. But curiously, he doesn't say that, and yet you say that's in fact how your conversation with him started. It is him saying, we came to your jurisdiction escorting suspects.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Baloyi. Commissioner Baloyi, you'll recall that this conversation was not of a formal nature, and we were sitting at the drinking place, and we were not really discussing it on an official base where we'll have to apply our minds and so forth and so on. I've learned also that Sergeant Sukudu was not part of the escorting team, but Warrant Officer Koto and them, they were part, but they were utilizing the vehicle of Warrant Officer Sergeant Sukudu. Now, when this conversation was started, we were in the mingle of things, and I'm not disputing that Sergeant Sukudu might not have been part of the escorting team, but his team or his colleagues were definitely part, and they are the one who started this conversation, if I recall very well. And I will be accepting the blame if I mistakenly mentioned something that was not said by him. by virtue of us being in a place where it's easy for us to forget such things because of our status of the day.
Being in a stock fair.
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay, can I, in the light of your explanation now, can we then discount Sergeant Tsukudu as one of the people that said to you or to the group with which you were that they had come to your jurisdiction? Can we discount him?
Thank you, I agree, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
Deal with this. To me, a major difference, and this is a material difference between Sergeant Tsukudu's statement and your statement, is that in paragraph 3 of Sergeant Tsukudu's statement, this conversation happened before Tau was escorted to his bail hearing. Because you will see that when the conversation continues, it talks about whether the state will be opposing bail and how much that bail will be. So what Sergeant Tsukudu is talking about in paragraph 3 is a period before Tau is even escorted this issue of the bail. Now that's a major difference because your statement suggests that you had this conversation after Tau had been escorted by Sergeant Tsukudu's team. That to me is a major and material difference that you need to explain.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. Commissioner Khumalo, to explain on that one, I'm also...
Before you explain, do you accept that paragraph 3 deals with the period before Tau is escorted to his bail hearing?
Reading this paragraph
Yes.
3, I agree,
Yes.
Commissioner.
All right.
I agree.
If you agree that there's that material difference, then you can explain what you wanted to explain.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. I wanted to, having highlighted the difference between my version and Sergeant Tsukudu's version in paragraph 3, having alluded to him saying he further told the investigating officer of the case, and he asked me if I knew her. Meaning I asked him if he knows her. Commissioner, for me it does not make sense that the docket left my district without an investigating officer. How had I known that this docket is assigned to this investigating officer? And why would I ask him? Why will I tell him that the investigating officer is so and so? And in paragraph 4, he went on to say he learned about this case. Perhaps let me go to that paragraph, Commissioner. He says,
You're looking for paragraph 3 where he says he learned about it on their WhatsApp group.
oh
Is
yes,
that what you're looking for?
Commissioner, but when we move on to paragraph 4, it starts with Brigadier Nkhwashu then informed me that his brother-in-law, though he did not mention his name, which is corroborating what I said in this one, says he knows the arrested person, and the brother-in-law wanted to know if the state will oppose bail. I then told Brigadier Nkhwashu that when I see witness B, I will ask her if the state will oppose bail. Let's pause a little bit there, commissioners. I then told Brigadier Nkhwashu that when I see, I will ask her if the state will oppose bail. It doesn't say I sent him, and because I did not send him. So on my return to work, I met witness B and I told her that I saw an article in Vereniging Meda case. Meaning, I confirm what the Commissioner Khumalo is saying, that he already knew about this case because on his return to work and during their conversation on the WhatsApp. So it simply means that when he get back to work, he already knew about this case.
I think you are misunderstanding me because you've moved ahead of us and you are dealing with issues that Advocate Power is going to be dealing with, and I don't want to deal with those issues. The focus of my question is this conversation between you and Brigadier Chukudu, sorry, not Brigadier, Sergeant Chukudu. According to him, it's taking place before Tau is escorted for his bail. So the trigger for this conversation could not have been you hearing that somebody was escorted for bail and then you are linking it with the conversation with Katiso Molefe. Because at this stage, according to Sergeant Chukudu, nobody has been escorted for bail. That is still to happen in the future. At this stage, you are initiating a conversation before anybody has mentioned that somebody was escorted for bail. That's really my focus. And this is a major difference to me between the two statements. Because on your version, the only reason you mention Katiso Molefe is because somebody tells you that Tau was escorted for bail. And then that triggers your memory as far as the discussion you had with Katiso Molefe is concerned. Now, this sergeant here says, before Tau was escorted, because the escorting you'll see comes much later in paragraph 4, and Advocate Poe is going to be dealing with that. So to me, this is a major difference, and one of you is not telling the truth. Either Sergeant Chukudu is not telling the truth or you are not telling the truth.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. I'm telling the truth. For a fact, I'm telling the truth, Commissioner Khumalo. And to support my statement, I got to know, Commissioner Khumalo, that this escort, which was made, that we were talking to, was not for the first time. I get to know that the bail application or the court hearing for the bail application was not done on one day. So meaning the escort started from the time when they were arrested and they were escorted to my area. And then they were also escorted to court. And they did not go on one day for the bail application. So there could be some contradiction in there because really, Commissioner Khumalo, we were talking in the drinking area. But all I remember, I might not remember the facts 100%, but all I remember, Commissioner Khumalo, is that the escort was not held once. And the day we met, definitely I want to say that this conversation was not started by me. And they talked about having come to visit to check me in my office, only to find that I was unavailable. And I wouldn't have, and during the conversation, he acknowledged, Sergeant Chukudu, that yes, they were using my state vehicle, but me, during that time, when they came there, I was on leave.
Yes, I think now for the first time you are mentioning the 2 escorts, but even your statement, the focus was on 1 escort. Now let me ask you one question and then hand over to my co-commissioners. Between the date of your first meeting with Katiso Molefe in June 2024 and this discussion with Sergeant Tukudu, how many escorts of Officer Tau had taken place? Because if it's an escort that happened before you met Katiso Molefe, it's irrelevant to this discussion. So between June 2024 and this Stockfell, or this meeting that you had with Sergeant Tukudu, how many times had Tau been escorted to Vereeniging and back?
I really don't have the number of times recorded somewhere, Commissioner Khumalo. However, I can safely say that it was more than 2 escorts, because I was the one who was arranging the TRT, the Technical Response Team, to accompany them to escort those Tau and them suspects to prison, to court, and it happened more than 2 times, that I can confirm.
Can I ask you to do this? It's going to be very important as we continue. When you are asked a question, only answer that question that is being asked.
Okay.
Otherwise, you'll end up talking about paragraph 5 and paragraph 6, and we are not there yet. So try to limit your answer to the question that is asked. If you need to clarify or explain, you can ask the chair for permission to clarify.
Thank you,
But
Chair.
for the purposes of our discussion, try to limit your answer to the question.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Khumalo, just to say that this was Tau's second bite at the bail. So there was an initial bail that was denied, and then he sought to bring a second based on new circumstances. And in Sergeant Belle's, in one of the witnesses' testimonies, it was explained that the interaction or the attempts to intervene happened as it related to the second bail application, for what it's worth.
It still doesn't help me, because if the first bail application was before June 2024, then that's before the Katiso Molefe discussion, and it can be what is being referred to in this statement. That was really my point.
I accept. All I can do is point out, if you go to page 36 of tab 3,
This is tab 4.
at paragraph 75, you'll see there the explanation that it's not even explained properly, but that there were several appearances before it was eventually heard. So just to say that they may have been they were appearances before it was eventually heard.
It's because it looks like the new fact one was brought on the 1st of August 2024.
No, it was eventually heard on that day,
Eventually
but
heard,
it was,
okay.
there was a couple of appearances before that.
All right.
Brigadier, we're going through the differences, and in the course of your engagement with Commissioner Khumalo, I think you tried to deal with this one where the second last sentence, where Sergeant Sugudu says that you told him that witness B was investigating the case and asked if he knew her. So that, right? And you say that is not possible, correct? Because you didn't know who the investigating officer was.
Correct, Advocate.
And then can I ask, Remember when you explained the registration of the docket and movement? That system where you can check the movement of the docket is accessible to you.
Yes, it is accessible to me.
So if you open it, you would be able to see who the investigating officer is.
Yes, Advocate.
So are you saying that since the docket was placed with Gauteng organized crime, you've never checked the system?
No, I never checked this, the system, Advocate.
So you didn't know?
I didn't know, and I had no reason. And Advocate, if what I'm submitting to the commission is perceived to be wrong, you can be able to get to the system and check. Once you log into the system, the record will be there that in 2024 June you logged into the system.
So you are saying that every time anyone logs into the system to check, there's a recorder of that?
Yes.
And so we would be able to check?
Pardon, Advocate?
And so we would be able to see if you've logged on between a
Yes.
particular period? All right. But you don't deny that if you were to look, you would have known who the
No,
investigating
I don't
officers were?
deny, Advocate.
All right.
So are you continuing on this
On this.
theme? Carry on and then.
And so you're also denying that you asked him?
I deny, Advocate.
All right. And then he then says he informed you that he knows witness B and works with her. So this part of the conversation also didn't occur, where he says, I know her, I work with her.
No.
And then if you move on to paragraph 4.
Maybe before you do that, let me ask the question. Brigadier, remember the earlier conversation about the docket, even though it's been transferred to organized crime, it remains your docket. What in fact does it mean that it remains your docket? And specifically what I'm trying to find out is, to keep track of that docket as your docket. What in fact does it mean practically? What can you do? What can you not do? What can you phone and ask? What is the status? What is the latest update? Because it's your docket. Can you not ask for information relating to that docket?
Thank you, Commissioner Balu. Indeed, the docket, as I alluded earlier on, remain the station of origin, like you remember Commissioner Khumalo assisted us that the previous witnesses said that when the docket has been registered at Station A, this one was in Station Vereeniging, for an example, it remained the accountability of the commanders in Vereeniging. So, however, when it is assigned in the system to investigating officer A or B, when I want to transact to log into the system and update the system of what is happening in the investigation, I will not be able to do that because the system recognizes the person who is responsible for that particular docket as the investigating officer, who has got an access to the contents of the docket, and you will not be able to access anything in the docket, but you can be able to get into the system to check who is this docket assigned to, and you can only end up there.
That's one part of it. It answers. It's part of the answer that I'm looking for. But more specifically, can you now that the docket has transferred to this organized crime unit, provincial, can you phone up somebody and ask, what is the status? What is happening in that matter? What I'm asking, or where I'm coming from, is the SWAT family, they want to know, let's say, from you, because it's your docket. The matter is reported at your station. They have no dealings with organized crime. They come to you and they want to know, there's no movement in this matter, right? We want to know what's going on. What are you able to do to get information about what's happening in this docket? As the owner of the docket and the only person that they can approach to get answers from.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. I'll answer that in two approach. First one, systematically, as the owner of that particular docket initially, you are able to log into the system, and when you log into the system, you put the case number. You will be able to see the status update. The status update talks to what is the latest investigation done in the case. You'll be able to see that. For an example, a case has appeared in court yesterday, and the matter has been postponed to December next year. You will be able to see that. But the real contents of the investigation, you will never be able to access. You will not be able to see what the statements attached to the docket are saying. And then on the second approach, Commissioner Paloi, yes, when you receive a complaint as the owner of the docket, and you need to update the complainant or the victim, and meanwhile the docket is investigated outside of your station, you open a file. When you open a file, we call it a complaint against the police, and then you assign an investigating officer, and then you say to the investigating officer of the complaint now. That's why it's a file, it's not a docket. Then the investigating officer of that particular file, which we are assigned to commissioned officers, will go to the investigating officer concerned and ask that particular investigating officer concerned as to why are you not giving progress to the complainant.
Right. I guess maybe it's my fault. I didn't quite explain properly what I wanted to find out. There's the way of getting into the system. You say you could log in and it will tell us who logged in when. And through that system, you'll be able to find out who is the investigating officer if you went onto the system. And I accept when you say, but you can't get any more than certain basic information. The question that I was asking was, the fact that the docket has moved to organized crime, does it prevent you, Brigadier Nkhwashu, does it prevent you calling somebody, whether at organized crime or somebody else, and asking who is the investigating officer in this matter, for whatever reason? Maybe because you want to know why is the matter not progressing, for whatever reason. But the focus of my question is, the fact that the docket is no longer with you, does it mean you are precluded in the way things work? Are you precluded from asking who is the investigating officer in this matter and asking whoever is the right person to ask?
No.
Okay.
Not precluded.
So it's information you could get if
Yes.
you wanted to get.
Yes, Commissioner.
All right, thank you.
And then, Brigadier, let's move to paragraph 4. And then there,